going on, everybody? This is Island Hopper TV, and today we're coming to you from Costa Rica. We're going to show you the best things to do. We have a total of 35 things to do. We're going to go from the Pacific coast all the way over to the Caribbean coast and check out some of the volcanoes in between. First up, here we are at Manuel Antonio National Park, right here on the Pacific coast side, just north of Corcovado and south of Jaco. Now, the entrance fee to get in here is around $18 for adults and $5 to $6 for children. Children under 2 are free, but you can expect to find lots of wildlife inside here. Also plenty of beautiful beaches. That's why people come out here. I would recommend 2 to 3 days exploring around Manuel Antonio and doing a guided wildlife tour. Nearby Manuel Antonio is El Avion. This is an airplane restaurant that you can dine at. It's really popular with people on Instagram. They like to come here and take pictures, and the food's decent. Just a really cool concept. Now here we are at Monteverde Cloud Forest. So up here, you're way up above the clouds actually, at a high elevation. It's like a rainforest up here. They've got hanging bridges. They've got lots of activities that you can do. Really a nice place to be. You almost forget you're in the tropics because you're so high up here in this beautiful environment. It's so cool and nice temperatures, not very humid. It does rain a lot up in the rainforest, as you would imagine, but definitely do a wildlife tour while here. This is something I did at night. It's called a nocturnal tour. Now on this tour, you never know what you're going to come across, whether it's poisonous or venomous creatures out here in the area, so take that into consideration. I mostly saw lots of birds. Now here we are at the Salvatura Adventure Park. They've got the canopy walk. Have this butterfly garden. They've also got sloths, which I'll show you in a little bit. But this butterfly garden here is really a nice place to walk around and see all the different types of butterflies. The sloth obviously are a big attraction for many people. And then the hanging bridges. People really like to walk across these hanging bridges and experience the cloud forest from up above on one of these beautiful settings. They even have a cable car that you can take up and experience it from inside the cable car. And then they have other museums and activities that you can do all around Monteverde. This is a 2-day destination. Now here we are at La Fortuna. I actually took my rental car from Monteverde to La Fortuna. It took about 2 days to get there. You go past the big lake and then you arrive at Arenal Volcano, and they have lots of hot springs and activities here in a beautiful town with good vibes, good food, and nightlife. So now here we are at Arenal Volcano. You can do hikes to go up here, but when the clouds are not covering Arenal Volcano, it really creates a spectacular ambiance around here because it is so majestic. And some of the other activities include hikes down to beautiful waterfalls all around here. Here I am now at Ecotermales, beautiful clear hot spring. These eco parks are very nice. It's good to get in the water that is heated by the volcano itself. And this one here, Ecotermales, it is a day park. Passes vary in price. You can go online to look that up. They also have other options for thermal hot springs. If you're looking to save some money, you should book ahead of time if you want to go there. Now at Kalambu Hot Springs. Now the ticket price to get in here is about $10 per person. It's extra if you want a locker or a towel, but really a nice place to go. I actually found it to be more family friendly here because they had slides, so a good place for kids, whereas Ecotermales is more for adults. And there are other geothermal hot springs around the area that are more natural environments that are not theme parks, so consider those as well. Now we're going to do whitewater rafting. You can do that here in La Fortuna, but there's several places you can do whitewater rafting in Costa Rica. This is a top activity for people visiting here. Also, we made a full Costa Rica travel guide. I'll put a link to that below in the comments. Now here we are at Poas Volcano. You actually go from La Fortuna to San Jose, and in the middle is Poas. Way up here in the higher elevations, and they've got a crater lake, again a place you need to reserve ahead of time. For those of you who aren't feeling as adventurous and you like to relax a bit, consider an all-inclusive resort. This here is a look at the Planet Hollywood. They also have several Marriott resorts like the Westin as well. They're all-inclusive. These are a great value and awesome experience. These are typically on the coast of Guanacaste down to Punta Arenas. All-inclusive typically includes access to the pools and amenities as well as food and beverage. Now let's talk about crocodiles. So crocodiles are all over here in the Pacific Coast side especially. They also have them on the Caribbean side, but you can do tours going out here. Obviously crocodiles are a bit dangerous, so it is highly recommended to do a tour with crocodiles instead of freestyling. And here's a look at our third volcano on this list. This is the Irazu Volcano. You can see very spectacular. All right, now here I am at Hermosa Beach, just outside of Santa Teresa. Yeah, so this is the Nicoya Peninsula, where Hermosa Beach, Santa Teresa, Montezuma, very beautiful place to hang out. It's one of the 5 blue zones of the world. That means they have a high concentration of centenarians, people who live to be over 100 years old. So it's a very healthy and pleasant place to be. You'll definitely feel that in the air when you're here. In the north side of Nicoya, they have Nosara and Samara. I actually drove all the way past Playa Coyotes down to Manzanillo and Santa Teresa. I went to a turtle sanctuary here in Montezuma. That's something that people like to do, is release the baby turtles into the ocean for the first time. And speaking of turtles, I went out to Tortuga Island, which basically means Turtle Island in Spanish. And out here, you'll find a beautiful white sand beach. This is on the Pacific coast, just south of Nicoya Peninsula. I would say you could either get here from Jaco or from Montezuma by speedboat, and it is worth it to come out here. This is probably one of the most beautiful islands in all of Costa Rica, and once you're here, you'll really feel like you're chilling out. You can do snorkeling and also lounge at the beach. Really a great place to hang out. They have fresh seafood as well. And when we came out here, we saw dolphins coming out here and on the way back, so if you love dolphins, you'll probably see them here. Not guaranteed though. Another thing to do is surfing. Santa Teresa is probably the best place for surfing, or Jaco. There's really a couple different areas for surfers to hang out, but Santa Teresa, Jaco seem to be the most famous. And Costa Rica is known as a good place for experienced surfers as well as people who are actually trying to get surf lessons. You can easily do that in a place like Santa Teresa or Jaco. If you do group surf lessons, it's about $60. If you wanted private, it's about $80. Tenorio National Park. This place is famous for the Rio Celeste, and that's another place that has these hot springs. You can't really swim here, but when you're out on this hike, it is amazing because you never know what kind of wildlife you'll see in Costa Rica, and this is one of those hikes where you're in a unique area. So Tenorio National Park, Rio Celeste. That very beautiful blue colored water is what makes it famous. You can see the water is boiling here, but really that blue water is what draws people out here. And you can walk around this whole park probably in 1 or 2 days. The location is basically in between La Fortuna and Guanacaste, where you could go out towards Tamarindo from La Fortuna and stop here. Now we're in the far southwest of the country. This here is Corcovado. This is probably the absolute best place to go if you're looking for wildlife that's untouched. It's not quite touristy down here. It does take some time to get all the way down this far south. It's right there next to Panama. Actually, you'll see Oso Peninsula, Drake Bay. That's what's out here, and lots of wildlife. The big town down here is going to be Puerto Jimenez, but people like to stay on the far west coast and not in the Bay Area. They also have other parks around here like Golfito, which is a national wildlife refuge. Just north of Corcovado is Uvita. This is a really nice place to go. They have some good activities, waterfalls, and surfing down here as well. There's also Dominical, but I really like coming out here for the hikes and exploring the waterfalls in the area. The beaches are super laid back and relaxed, but the big ticket for me is going to be Marino Ballena, which is known as the whale's tail, and you can see why, because of the way the earth kind of pokes out there into the ocean like a whale's tail, especially at lower tide, and it's a very beautiful place to walk around. They do have wildlife here as well. It's just not quite as much as you're going to find in, say, Corcovado or Manuel Antonio. And in fact, Uvita really is kind of in between Manuel Antonio and Corcovado, probably closer to Manuel Antonio though. For me, I would suggest coming here at low tide. Hopefully it's at the same time as sunset, because that's when it's really most magical here. Another thing to do, ironically, is actually whale watching down here in Uvita. Isn't that interesting how the whale's tail is also the place to see the whales when here, and the humpbacks come down here, I believe some gray whales and other whales. Another thing to do is glamping, glamorous camping. That's what we did when we were down here in Uvita. It was about $100 a night. But honestly, you can do glamping anywhere in Costa Rica, as it's a perfect place for that. Also, you can drive out to Quetzales from here. Quetzales is another highland elevation area. This is in the southern part of the country, south of Cartago, and you're gonna find the bird, the Quetzales bird. It's a famous green bird. It's not quite as big as a parrot, but it is very beautiful. It is elusive, and if you see it, consider yourself lucky. But this is a really peaceful place to stay, a lot cooler at night. All right, now let's talk about the Caribbean side of Costa Rica. So you're gonna have many different towns around here that you're gonna wanna explore. Costa Rica is a small country, but getting out here to the Caribbean side from the Pacific side can be a half a day journey. Out here, you're gonna see Puerto Viejo, you're gonna have Cahuita, and you're also looking at Limon, which is the capital area. But I will also put that out there, it is close to Bocas del Toro in Panama. Once you're in Puerto Viejo, you're really close to the border here, and Bocas del Toro is one of the most famous areas in all of Central America for those of you looking to include Panama on your trip, so I figured I'd throw that in there. A lot of people ask if it's worth it to come out to the Caribbean side or should they just stay on the Pacific side because of the amount of time it takes to travel. And honestly, if you're gonna be in Costa Rica for more than 14 days, absolutely. Even if you're here for more than 10 days, it is worth it coming out here even for 3 to 4 days. Some people just come to Costa Rica for the Caribbean side, where they have surfing, good food. It's a totally different vibe over here in the Caribbean. And then we have Tortuguero National Park. This is a Caribbean park that is towards the north part of the country on the northeast side, almost towards Nicaragua. But now let's head back over to the Pacific. This here is the beaches of Guanacaste. This is probably the most famous area for people looking for that resort style experience when in Costa Rica. So Guanacaste has so many different beaches. We've got the Playa Flamingo, Papagayo, and we're gonna talk about all of those here coming up, but Tamarindo as well. Really drier climate, not as much vegetation and lush, especially during the dry season. It will almost turn into a bit of a desert, which you probably didn't expect for Costa Rica, but you'll find that kind of experience here in Guanacaste.
Now at Las Catalinas, you can see they've got these condos and Airbnbs up on the hill. And then they have the hotel right behind me.
And I'm just highlighting Las Catalinas here, but there are so many different beach areas. If you wanted to come out here to Guanacaste, you'd probably better off landing in Liberia. There's only 2 international airports in Costa Rica, one in San Jose and another one in Liberia, San Jose being the busiest. But it takes about 3 to 4 hours to get out here by car. So from Liberia, you're only an hour away. This is a look at Playa Flamingo. This is more of that resort style living that a lot of expats or foreigners, immigrants, whatever you want to call them, from America or Europe, they all move down here and they're driving up the price of everything in Costa Rica. The locals are not too happy about that, but it's happening, and Playa Flamingo seems to be one of the most famous areas where a lot of people from foreign countries are moving. So if you're someone who's planning to come to Costa Rica and stay for a longer period of time and relax and chill out, and you're looking to do more of a longer term vacation, probably consider Guanacaste, places like Las Catalinas, Playa Flamingo, and maybe even Tamarindo. In fact, Tamarindo seems to be the most famous place. It's actually got a new nickname. Some of the locals were joking around and call it Tamagringo. So you guys get the idea. Tamarindo is very popular with foreigners. It's a really laid-back kind of village. Watching the sunset, island hopping, and horseback riding is very popular. Another thing to do is explore the capital, San Jose. A lot of people overlook San Jose, but I would say spending 24 to 48 hours exploring some of the history and the culture in San Jose can be a really nice experience. Usually I recommend 24 hours, to be honest with you. And that's because I realize many of you are not coming to Costa Rica for the city. You're coming here for the nature. You're coming here for the outdoor experience. And that's what you're going to get in Costa Rica. I would suggest visiting some of the food markets and museums while in San Jose. Now we're going to go out to the coast here and go to probably one of the most popular beach areas aside from Tamarindo on the Pacific coast. This here is Jaco Beach. Jaco Beach we talked about earlier being a great place to go surfing. They also have all-inclusive resorts down here. And then they have laid-back areas for people who just want to stay in Airbnbs. And another awesome activity that you should consider is zip lining. You can do it out here in Jaco or Monteverde, La Fortuna, so many places to do zip lining. but definitely something to consider doing since the jungle views are so amazing. So as you guys can see, we went all across Costa Rica. Hopefully you guys found value in this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel and watching more of our other videos. I'll put the best places to visit in Costa Rica video next, as well as a best things to do in Mexico City travel guide.